Why do people only realize your worth when you're gone? Keanu Reeves once shared a profound lesson about how people handle emotions and loss. When you stop reaching out, something strange happens. Their minds begin to shift. They start to miss you, feel regret, and realize what they've lost. But when does this realization truly hit them? And how can you use this knowledge to your advantage? Stay until the end to uncover the psychological truth behind this phenomenon. Have you ever noticed that the moment you step back, the moment you stop contacting someone, something almost magical occurs? Those who once took your presence for granted suddenly feel an emptiness, an unexplainable void that unsettles them. This seems like a paradox in life. When you were there, spending time, giving your attention and showing patience, they hardly noticed. But the moment you walk away from that relationship, their thoughts begin to change. They realize that your absence creates an undeniable awareness that they've lost something incredibly important in their lives. Don't mistake this for emotional manipulation. It's a fundamental psychological principle. How people perceive the value of others. Human nature dictates that we don't appreciate what we always have. We only truly cherish what we've lost. This is an unchanging rule of human behavior. The most desirable things in life, success, love, respect, are often the hardest to attain, and once we have them, they require effort to maintain and nurture. When you're always available, always initiating, the other person gradually gets used to your presence. They assume you will always be there, and as a result, your value begins to fade in their eyes. But the moment your presence starts to disappear from their life, their mind floods with unanswered questions. They begin searching for what was lost, not just a person, but the emotions and experiences they once took for granted. Your presence was once something ordinary, a reliable pillar they leaned on without a second thought. But when that pillar vanishes, they start reflecting, wondering why they never appreciated you while they had the chance. They feel an underlying tension, a growing discomfort and emotional imbalance that only your return could fix. This is precisely why people suddenly recognize your worth the moment you're gone. Your absence does more than create longing. It forces them to confront the unsettling emotions within themselves. And gradually, they realize that what once seemed ordinary is now precious beyond measure. They also come to understand that nothing lasts forever, that the things they assumed would always be there can disappear at any moment. This realization pushes people to act, to reconsider, to correct their mistakes, or to live with regret. Only by experiencing your absence do they finally see how dull and empty their life feels without you. If you've ever wondered why people start appreciating you more after you've been away, it's because your absence has completely reshaped the way your relationship operates. They no longer have control over your presence in their lives. Your absence forces them to acknowledge what they've truly lost. And once they understand this, they will value you far more, if given the chance to mend what was broken. Men and women handle emotions in completely different ways, and understanding these differences is crucial to deeply comprehending the emotions of both genders. Women experience emotions instantly. They analyze, anticipate, and prepare for what's to come. Their emotional awareness allows them to react and process issues quickly. In contrast, men tend to suppress emotions, as if placing them on a shelf to deal with later. They often believe that if they have something today, they will still have it tomorrow. This is why they take love, care, and attention for granted, never stopping to consider what would happen if those things suddenly disappeared. As long as life continues as usual, men often fail to notice the subtle shifts beneath the surface. But when that presence suddenly vanishes, when the person who once brought warmth and stability leaves, their thoughts begin to change. At first, it's just a vague sense of unease, something difficult to define. They may not immediately recognize it as loss, but instead feel a restlessness, an unfamiliar discomfort without a clear cause. They carry on with their lives as if everything is fine, yet something is missing. Gradually, they come to realize that the joy they once had in their relationship with you has faded, replaced by emptiness and a dull existence. They reach out for the warmth that once surrounded them, only to grasp at nothingness. And then little by little, awareness begins to take shape. They start recalling the small, precious moments from the past. At that moment, the emptiness becomes undeniable. It's no longer just a void in their life. It's a pain, a missing piece in their world that they never thought they could lose. And then comes regret, an emotion that forces them to face what they had and lost. Regret reminds them of what should have been cherished, what should have been held onto, but was instead overlooked. The human brain, wired for logic and clarity, suddenly finds itself unable to rationalize the emotional void. It struggles to explain the pain, the longing, and the realization that if given a second chance, they would do anything to appreciate what they once had before it became too late. Patience is one of the most powerful forces in relationships, especially when it comes to making someone recognize your value. One of the biggest mistakes people make when facing emotional distance is rushing back too soon. They feel the void, the tension, the fear of losing someone, and in their panic, they seek immediate comfort by reaching out, believing that reconnecting right away will fix everything. But this completely disrupts the process of realization. In reality, the extent to which someone misses you is directly proportional to the emotional investment you've made in them. When you were present, you were their source of love, attention, and emotional warmth. But when that presence abruptly disappears, it creates a stark contrast between the past and the present. The human brain is wired to recognize this contrast, to compare life with you and life without you. But if you return too soon, you erase that contrast before it has a chance to leave a lasting impact. Instead of fully experiencing the weight of their loss, they only feel temporary relief. And just like that, they slip back into their old mindset, once again taking your presence for granted. This is why patience is not just important, it's essential. The longer the distance, the deeper the emotional impact. The brain needs time to associate longing with you, not just relief from reconnection. They need time to understand that what they once assumed would always be there is now gone. And in that space, true appreciation is born. This is not manipulation or mind games. It's simply understanding human psychology and allowing the process to unfold naturally. Because people only truly appreciate what they have lost. They only reflect when they have no other choice. Only with distance do they finally recognize the value of what was always there. Patience is crucial. If you return too soon, before they have truly felt your significance in their life, you inadvertently interrupt the process. They haven't yet experienced the weight of loss, nor have they realized your true value. But if you know how to step back, if you let time guide them toward recognizing what you meant to them, something remarkable happens. The loneliness they feel becomes more pronounced, and the awareness of loss becomes undeniable. This is when real change takes place. This is when true appreciation is born. When someone has the space to miss you, to feel the emptiness left by your absence, they are forced to acknowledge just how important you were to them. And this realization does not come from chasing after them, begging, or trying to hold on. It comes from patience. It comes from allowing them to walk through the journey of loss without interference. And when that realization finally arrives, it is incredibly powerful, because it is the truth. When a relationship ends, most people initially feel relief, not because they don't care, but because their thought process works differently. Their brain is wired to solve problems, not to immediately process emotions. If something is no longer in front of them, their instinct tells them it no longer requires their attention. They throw themselves into distractions, work, hobbies, friends, or even new relationships, believing that they are perfectly fine. But the mind has a way of catching up with reality. At first, they may not recognize your absence as a loss. Life continues as normal because they are focused on immediate goals. But then the small things start to change. Silence creeps in. There's no one checking in on them, no familiar voice at the end of the day, no warm presence offering security. They don't consciously acknowledge it right away, but their subconscious does. The human brain doesn't process emotions instantly. Instead, it attaches them to experiences. This is why people rarely realize the value of someone until that person is no longer there. They suppress and avoid these feelings until they have no choice but to face them. And what forces them to confront it? time and loneliness. One day, they wake up and realize that the treasure they once had is now gone. The longing arrives slowly but irresistibly. Memories resurface, bringing warmth and peace they once took for granted. The mind paints the past in extraordinary colors, turning the ordinary into something exceptional, simply because the person who once cherished them is no longer waiting. But by the time they recognize that value, you have changed. You have grown stronger. You are no longer the person who waited for them. And now they don't just miss a person, they miss an entire emotional world they once lived in, a world that now only exists in the past. Instead of constantly dwelling on past relationships, learn to take care of yourself. That is the strongest thing you can do, not to prove anything, but because your worth, whether high or low, is determined by you alone. The biggest mistake in relationships is letting others decide your value. True love is not about dependency or seeking validation. It is about sharing from a place of inner strength. When you allow your happiness to depend on someone else's attention, you strip yourself of your own power. But when you focus on building yourself, for yourself, you begin to grow confident, independent, and free from waiting for them. And ironically, the moment you no longer need them is when they start feeling your absence. A person who has full control over themselves naturally exudes an irresistible aura. People rarely appreciate what is easily available, but crave what is just out of reach. So instead of wondering whether someone misses you, fill your life with purpose and joy. Because in the end, the most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself. At the end of the day, people only truly value what they have lost. When you walk away, you are not just creating distance, you are forcing them to face the emptiness you left behind. Keanu Reeves once said that sometimes silence is the most powerful answer, and that is often the moment when others start recognizing your worth. If you found this lesson valuable, don't forget to leave a comment and share your thoughts. And if you want to continue exploring deeper perspectives on life, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. See you in the next video.